Hello, hello. Welcome to Best Kept Secrets of Sustainability. Today is our third episode, and as I said on the previous one, today we are going to speak about upcycling. Why upcycling? I mean, it's a buzzword. We hear upcycling every time more and more, but aside from the fact of seeing like cool objects with things that otherwise would have been trash, we actually don't have very clear what upcycling is and what are the benefits in terms of sustainability about upcycling. So let's start by saying that upcycling enters in this new also hyped term of C2C, so circularity, cradle to cradle, which means that we prolongate the life of objects, materials, things that they exist already. So things that otherwise would have been trash, they become something new. We give them a new life. The difference between upcycling and recycling is that when I recycle, I transform, let's say, leather scraps into another leather, Whereas upcycling means that the leather scraps, I put them together. I could, for example, compress them and make a table or a plate, or I could put them together, stitch them together, make something similar to a patchwork, and then create a jacket, an art piece, anything, pair of pants. Or it doesn't even need to be scraps. It can be an existing garment. So let's say I have a cotton t-shirt which I no longer use, and if I, let's say, cut it and mix and match it with another piece, then I'm upcycling it because I would have no longer used it, and I had few options. I could have give it to a friend, donate it, or send it to a trash, so therefore to the landfills, So if I cut it and pimp it out, then I'm upcycling it. Or also another thing, it's when I have, this is a bit less, we're hearing every time more and more as well, which are byproducts, but it's not everyone relates it to upcycling. But byproducts means that products derived from another industry, they become something else. So for example, the leather is a byproduct from the meat industry. Or for example, orange fiber. So from the orange juices, this oranges that they just go to the landfill directly, or they can become compost, those oranges from the juice industry, they become a fabric called orange fiber. So we're going to go in depth with that, but this is just to understand what upcycling is. And now I want to speak about why upcycling, which is the thing that we are still missing. So we said on the first episode, which I highly recommend you to go visit and listen to it, because it has a lot of good information regarding sustainability and the environmental footprint the industry is having. So on the first video, we said that there are 8 main problems, environmental impact the fashion industry is currently having in the world. Among those, we have microfibers in the oceans, waste accumulation, water pollution, water consumption, soil degradation and desertification, greenhouse gas emission, rainforest destruction. So these are the main issues the industry is creating in the world, environmentally wise. And upcycling tackles 5 out of these 8 problems we are having. So the first one is waste accumulation. So as we know, the materials we're creating are outpassing the global population. So upcycling, it's something great, and a beneficial thing is that if companies benefit from the materials they have already or the products they have already. They are just paying once for the raw material and getting twice products, no? So they're earning more out of their waste. Then another problem that it tackles is greenhouse gas emissions. So as we know, the fashion industry is responsible for 4% of the total of the global greenhouse gas emission, which is a lot. And just to have a bit more of in-depth of this, like how to calculate this. So per kilo of fabric we produce, on average, we produce 23 kilograms of greenhouse gas emission. So if we upcycle, that means that we are avoiding the making of new fabrics, and therefore we are saving a lot of greenhouse gas emissions for the planet. Each kilo is 23 kilograms, each kilo of fabric. And then the other thing is that regarding always the greenhouse gas emissions is that a garment, if we use it 5 times, it accounts for 400% more greenhouse gas emissions rather than if we wear it 50 times. So if we continue giving life to products that exist already, then we are mitigating the emissions that we create. Another of the things, of the problems, environmental problems that upcycling tackles with like that it's beneficial for the industry is the rainforest destruction, which, as I also said on the first episode, we cut 3.2 billion trees each year. And these trees are only for packaging and cellulosic fibers. Cellulosic fibers such as viscose, which is the most produced and it's the third most used fabric in the industry. The first one is polyester, the second one is cotton, and the third one is viscose. Therefore, with upcycling, we would avoid as well cutting more trees. No, we could also do that. It's not only for the product per se. We could upcycle packaging. For example, we could take that's only if you are a very little brand, but out of newspaper that otherwise it would have gone just to waste, we could create paper bags. That's an example of upcycling. And just a little detail, a little like tip. If we use a paper bag 7 times, we neutralize the emissions that were made to create that paper bag. Another issue that upcycling tackles is the soil degradation. We know that if we continue the same way we are working and producing at the time, within 20 to 50 years, we are going to have 30% less food production, which is a real problem because the global population is augmenting, and if the food decreases, there will be a rise in prices for food and there will be less food for everyone. The food industry has a lot of waste as well, but we will get to a point where that waste, with the amount of people we are at the moment, will not be possible, like wouldn't be a waste, it would be just consumed. So we need to take into consideration that the soil degradation is a real problem, and the soil degradation mainly comes because of the animals we are taking care of in order to make, for example, leather, for crops. So basically cotton, linen, jute, all the natural fibers that are vegetable, and for deforestation. So what we said previously of the rainforest destruction. Last but not least is the water consumption. The fashion industry is responsible for using 1.5 trillion liters of water each year. If we increase the upcycling of things, we're going to reduce very drastically the amount of water we are using, and potentially also the amount of dyings that goes in the water. So let's speak about very briefly some companies that are upcycling at the moment. But before we go into that, just to understand the positive thing that upcycling has is A, it gives us a lot of room for creativity. B, it gives companies the possibility of saving in raw materials, and also it gives the possibility between companies to actually exchange raw materials. So it could be, for example, you give me your cotton scraps or you give me your leather scraps, and I am going to give you, I don't know, the soles I have, or whatever it is. So we can actually exchange between companies, and that would lead to a more collaborative industry, okay? And the other thing is a lot of reduction in general of waste and greenhouse gas emission, which is not something little. And again, yeah, so to give you an example of the companies that are currently working in upcycling, few of them, but there's many. There is one that I really like. Their example is called Eileen Fisher, and I like them because it's a scalable model. It's not the artist that is making one-of-a-kind pieces and that's all. So Eileen Fisher is a US brand, and they have their normal line, let's say, with 2 or 4 or whatever collections a year, and they have their stores. I mean, it's a normal brand as we know them as of for now, so ready to wear. They have a second-hand shop for their brand. So you as a consumer, once you bought a piece of theirs and you are no longer willing to wear it or whatever, it got destructed, you can send it back. The ones that are in really good conditions, they will go in the second-hand shop. The ones that are not in good conditions are going to be upcycled. So they have a second line, which is only for upcycled pieces, meaning that yes, they are one of a kind. However, they have a very little laboratory in-house where they create all of these pieces, and they are the same patterns that they do again and again and again, just that with different fabrics and different mix and matches. So what do they do for upcycling? They do restitching. So if a piece got ripped off or unstitched, they restitch it. Maybe they add a patch and it's ready. They do re-dyeing. That means that if it got stained, they can dye it again. They could do, for example, also tie and dye, so a more crafty technique. And they do felting. So anything that is wool that got ruined, they make it felt, and then they make patches in order to have a new piece out of wool, felted wool. And as the CEO says, none of this are new techniques. None of this is new in the world. They're not inventing hot water. They're actually just using traditional handcraft techniques that can be scaled up in their business model, which is a great example. I highly invite you to check out Eileen Fisher because it's a great initiative. Then, for example, another company is Renewal Workshop, which is a great example on how companies can collaborate to create value and to upcycle. So Renewal Workshop, what they do is that they collect garments from other brands and or fabrics. A, they recycle, and B, they upcycle, and they give the brand a feedback on their collection so they can improve in production and designing. So how do they do that? For example, brand X sends 10,000 pieces to Renewal Workshop saying, okay, these are the leftovers from our spring summer 22. So Renewal Workshop, what they do is that they divide and they say, okay, out of the 10,000 pieces, we receive 1,000 pants, 5,000 jackets, 3,000 tops, and whatever, 2,000 accessories. So they count down that. And out of the pants, then they say, okay, so we received style X, this many, style Z, this many, and like that. Then out of each style, they say, okay, we had X amount of sizes, X amount of colors, X amount of materials, and so on. And they give a feedback to the company saying, okay, so the size XL, you are overselling it because we didn't receive one. Instead of size XS, we had too many. We had 80% of the shirts. Or the white color, we had 1% of what we received. Instead, the purple color, we received 95%. So you are not actually selling that much of purple color, which is a great way for a brand to know how to improve on their production and on their designing. And as I said at the beginning, another way of upcycling is there are many companies at the moment that are upcycling from the food industry, such as Pinatex, Veja, Malai, or Fruit Leather Rotterdam. They come from discarded fruits or food in general. And just to give an example of one of them, Malai is a material which is very similar to coconut, like coconut fiber, and it comes from coconut, the coconut industry from the southern part of India. So the coconut industry, what they were doing is that they were using the coconut skin, but they were throwing away the coconut water. And when they were throwing this away, it was ending up in soil and oceans, and the environment became too acid. So the flora and fauna of the place was getting very badly damaged because of it. Therefore, what they decided to do is that they started collecting the water and making this material, which has an amazingly beautiful process. I will try to get an interview with them because it's extremely pretty. We actually did a live on Instagram, which I will share on the link, so you can, on the comment, on the title, so you can see it, because it's extremely beautiful, their process. And it's an excellent way of seeing how among industries we can collaborate and we can create innovative ideas. That's why I also said before that upcycling is like one of the positive things of upcycling is that we have an endless possibilities of being more creative, of being more innovative, which is something amazing. For today, this is all. And I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Upcycling is one of my favorite things, and that's why we're also doing a very special one in February, where we are going to do live an upcycling workshop. So we show you how we do it. We personally love doing it, and since I receive a lot of materials, folders, scraps, and everything from suppliers, so for our consultations, after 2-3 seasons, those folders have to be renewed. So what I do is that I use them to create objects, single objects, which I personally love and I enjoy a lot doing. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Please check out episode 1 and 2 if this was of your interest, and subscribe to the channel so you are updated with the new episodes we will be uploading. We also have many other sections, so I highly invite you to go check out the channel and leave us your feedback in the comments. To us, it's extremely important so we can improve the content we are creating for you. I am Diana Llanes, and thank you very much. See you on the 4th episode of Best Kept Secrets of Sustainability.